Hey friends, and welcome back to Everything Tumbler Tutorials. Today I'm going to be showing you a vinyl split with a double vertical ombre. So for this project today, I'm going to be using the beautiful floral print from AB Designs. And I already knew that I needed to cut this down in a width of 5 inches so that it would be exactly half the tumbler. When placing your vinyl, most importantly, you just want to make sure that you don't have any wrinkles and or air pockets. Once we have this entire vinyl placed onto the tumbler, we're then going to go ahead and trim both the top and the bottom rims. So when it comes time to trimming the rim, it's super important if you have a really sharp X-Acto blade because it makes this job so much easier. I purchased this cup edging tool from Amazon and the link is down in the below in the description. Now we're ready to go ahead and tape up, and you don't have to use tape. You can use whatever you're comfortable with. You just want to mask off that vinyl so that we don't get any overspray. I personally like to use spray paint for this. However, you can use acrylic paint, but we just want to make sure that we paint the surface white. Flat or matte white will dry faster versus gloss. Once it's dried, we can then move on. And I am so excited to introduce Hippie Crafters acrylic paint set. Oh my gosh, the colors are beautiful and I'm actually chosen 2 of them to work with today. I will have the link for them down in the description below, so be sure to check them out. So the colors that I chose today is rose and titanium white for this design. So now that our spray paint is fully dry, it's time to go ahead and measure. And I'm measuring from vinyl to vinyl so that I can mark right where my halfway point is going to be, so where I know where my colors need to start to blend. So I'm going to apply the rose directly onto the tumbler. Now it's acrylic paint, so it is a little bit thick. That's okay because I have a cup handy with some water and I basically just dip in the paintbrush and then I pat it off on a paper towel just to remove any excess water, as we only needed a tiny amount for a smooth application. So I am going to go ahead and speed up this section as well as the white, but I really slow things down when I get ready to blend. Because at this point, I'm going to put 2 coats back to back right over the rose, and I'll also do the 2 coats with the white. So while I paint, I really wanted to show you a couple of the versions that really gave me the inspiration for this double vertical ombre. This is a very trendy nail and I am super excited and actually can't wait to have this done for myself. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and slow things back down for you. So most importantly, you want to use the lightest color then to blend into your darkest color. A couple of times I did need to wipe off my paintbrush just to remove excess paint that I didn't want to really travel too far into any one section. When blending the 2 colors, try and keep your brush strokes as straight as you can. Remember, dabbing off any excess paint as you need to along the way. Once you're pretty happy with your blend, try to refrain from over brushing it, if you will. Once you're happy with it, go ahead and dabble on some of the paint here at the bottom. I wasn't too focused about making this perfect. I just really did not want my edges around the bottom to be clumpy. So we're just gonna go ahead and smooth out this bottom end, try to make it look as super cute as we can, and then we're gonna allow this to fully dry. And I waited about an hour and a half before going into my first coat of epoxy. I also want to mention that I did not seal this tumbler prior to its first coat of epoxy, and the epoxy did not repel from the acrylic paint. Once I was done touching up the bottom end, I went ahead and removed my tape immediately. Once your tumbler is completely dry, we're now ready to move in for the first coat of epoxy. For my first coat of epoxy, I am going to be using the Fast Set from Counterculture DIY. Once you are happy with your initial coat of epoxy, make sure you use your heat torch to pop any bubbles that you may or may not be able to see. Make sure this is fully cured before moving on to your next step. So now that my tumbler is fully cured, I'm ready to move on. And you'll notice that I've already put on my vinyl tape to get that curved appearance like a fingernail, really. I do have the tape link in my Amazon store down in the description for you guys below. So we're only going to tape that off and use it as a guide, so you can clearly see both the top and the bottom and where we're going to paint. I'm also just going to use some tape down the side, and it doesn't even have to go all the way to the top. It's basically just a security blanket for those that are possibly messy and you really want to protect the face of that vinyl. So now we're ready to go ahead and move on to the next step. Basically what we're going to do now is paint these same exact colors but opposite from each other. And again, starting with the darkest color first. I will also apply 2 coats of each, just as I did before. So just like before, we're going to go ahead and dab off any excess of the white paint before going in to blend these two. The blessing about doing this section is that we can clearly see where the blending is happening on the first section, if that makes sense. So our plan here is to go ahead and make sure that they match and that they're blending cohesively both at the top and the bottom. As I move forward with blending the two, you'll notice that I kind of stop frequently just to kind of see and eyeball where my blending is. Again, just remember, sometimes you have to know when to say when and try not to overdo the brush strokes. Once you're satisfied with your ombre, we're going to go ahead and remove the tape right away. We're also, again, going to allow this to fully dry, again, for about another hour and a half. But be mindful that your time frames might be different. Once I get all the tape removed, I'm going to then go back through and do any paint cleanup and touch up that bottom as well. So you'll notice I had a couple of boo-boos here up at the top that I'm actually just going to clean up. Now I am using Hippie Crafters paint and art wipes, but you can too use baby wipes or whatever means necessary to remove that paint in sections that it doesn't belong. I am being super careful right now, but once this bottom half of paint is dried, I can really go in and really make sure that I don't have any additional paint speckles anywhere on this tumbler before I epoxy. Now once my paint has fully dried, I'm going to go right in with the 2mm nail tape from AB Designs. This pink was the perfect touch for this tumbler and finishing it off. Applying the nail tape now prior to another coat of epoxy made sense to me, as I didn't want to have to do an additional unnecessary coat of epoxy. Once that is completed, we are now ready to move on to another coat of epoxy. I decided to use in the Snow Caps additive from AB Designs to give this gorgeous tumbler a little bit of a shine. Once you're satisfied with this coat of epoxy, be sure to hit it with the heat torch to pop any bubbles you may or may not be able to see. This tumbler was so much fun to make. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. And if so, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more tutorials coming soon. This tumbler only required one more final coat of epoxy and she was completed. Be sure to drop me a comment in the comment section below and let me know if I nailed this tumbler or not. No pun intended. And please don't forget to tag me on social media so I can see your recreations of this tumbler. And again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.